Hey everybody, it's Mr. Caudell. I hope you're doing well. I truthfully am just hanging on by a thread, and I'm sure you feel the same. Um, there's a lot that we need to cover over the next week and a half. Specifically, we need to talk about population ecology with respect to logistic and exponential growth and interactions of organisms in their ecosystems. We need to talk about invasive species and keystone species, and then something called succession. And then, if we have time, we'll talk about humans and what good or what bad they're doing to our planet. Well, the first state standard that I want to mention today is that State Standard 2.2a, analyze and interpret data about the impact of removing keystone species or introducing non-native species into an ecosystem. So you have to look at some data here, and you have to be able to analyze and interpret it. Well, we're not going to get to keystone species today. We will, but we are going to talk a little bit about it's magic. Introducing non-native species into an ecosystem. That's not magic. My friend Marnie was living in Miami on this night, 24th of August, 1992, and she said it sounded like a freight train outside of her apartment building. And I've heard that often from people who are in hurricanes. She said that she saw tons of stuff flying around. The next morning, when the hurricane had passed, she rode her bike inland about a few miles inland from where, sorry, not a few miles inland from where she was, but just inland from where she was. And she went to a local elementary school, and they were about 2 to 5 miles inland away from the beach here. And she said that there was a bunch of people standing there, and she didn't know why. And they looked, and there was a shark from the ocean dead on the playground. Well, some other people believe that that night when this happened, there were some big aquarium tanks at Biscayne Bay National Park, or there's a marina there, and they actually broke, a piece of debris broke them, and some fish came out and got into the local waters. They believe, many believe, this is how this guy called the lionfish got into the waters of Miami area, Biscayne Bay. And this fish is native to islands in the Western Pacific, like of Indonesia. So when it got out, it didn't have any natural predators. There was nothing to stop its spread, and it eats a lot of other fish on coral reefs. Here's the lionfish right here. What it has a bunch of hypodermic needles along its backside there. And when a fish or something clamps down on it to eat it, they'll inject this poison into their brain, and the predator will die. Now, maybe the lionfish will die, but at least that predator is not going to eat many of these. And if it has a bad encounter, it's going to know to leave it alone after that. Well, here's a movie that I'd like you to watch. It's on Schoology. Here's another movie I'd like you to watch. It's on the white carp that's in Midwestern rivers. Here's another guy right here. This is called the cane toad, and I'd like you to watch a movie on the cane toad. The idea with the cane toad is that it was brought from northern South America, I think French Guiana or Suriname, over to Australia in the 1920s, I believe. And the idea was that it was going to live amongst the sugar cane and eat lots of pests that ate the sugar cane. All these insects were there. But what happened was this thing was introduced. It had no natural predators or predators that were able to eat it, because in its parotid gland behind its eardrum is a pouch of poison. And so when a predator eats this, if it hasn't evolved to have resistance to this, it will die. And there's far fewer predators, as you know, when you look at a trophic level diagram, than there are, say, primary consumers like these guys. These are omnivores, but they would eat plants, and they'll eat insects and stuff. So the cane toad has now grown exponentially in the heartland of Australia, and it's a big time problem there because they eat lots of insects, they eat lots of crops. We do have an assignment here. It's called Toads Gone Wild. I'd like you to read this and then perform the activity. This data is going to help you answer questions number 1 and number 6, so remember that you saw it. There's a lot of things people can do with a cane toad, including hit them with a golf club. If you choose not to do a cane toad for an invasive species, you can do any other organism. I don't care. This is your remote assignment for today. Thanks for paying attention, and don't introduce non-native species to an area, please.